fun?
Yes.
Are we catching up something? Are we learning?
Yes.
Yes. So the next person now is, hold on, I need to get my book. Praise God. Praise the name of Jesus. I hope we're learning. That's the essence of this gathering. So I'm going to call a young lady, beautiful young lady. She's going to talk about her experience. I want us as mothers to make notes. Mothers and fathers do make notes because she's talking about her experience. Come forward, Sarita. Can I have a clap for hands for her, please? She's come from Leicester to be here, so I appreciate it.
Hi, my name's Sawida. I'm 21. I'm going to be 22 on Monday. And thank you. I'm currently a fourth year financial mathematics student at the University of Leicester. So I was asked by Pastor Ali to share my story with mental health. And I guess my story sort of starts in my second year of university. And that's where it started for me, like really. But I think one thing that God has like shown me through this whole like season of just dealing with mental health issues and things is that there's always a seed. Like a plant doesn't just shoot up out of nowhere. There's always a seed, and I think a lot of the things that I've been through and a lot of the things that I've experienced started from probably when I was a young child. Like I've seen a lot of things in my family that many children probably shouldn't have to see, but they see anyway because it's just what happens. And I think that a lot of the time we bottle up all of these emotions and we don't understand how they affect us until we have to deal with them ourselves as adults. So in my second year of university, the summer before I went back to university, I had a lot going on with my family. There was a lot of domestic violence and just things that were happening, and I fell out with quite a few of my family members. So I actually moved to university a lot earlier than I was supposed to. So I started uni in October and I moved back to university in August. So at that time, I thought it was okay. Like a lot of things have always gone on in my family. I've had so many experiences from the age of a young child. I just thought I'm fine, like I just want to be on my own. I think that's where I first messed up because I just isolated myself. I went to university, I was staying there, none of my friends were back, it was just me by myself. And I started working, I was just at uni by myself, and then term started and I just thought, you know, I just want to enjoy myself, I don't want to think about anything that's going on at home. So I just carried on in uni. I thought I was working hard, but alongside working hard I was partying, drinking, I started smoking weed. I'd never smoked weed before, but people were doing it, so I just thought, you know, I might as well. It makes me feel, you know, it makes me feel happy, like, you know, it's fun. And one thing I always say to people is that sin is fun. Sin is always fun. Like, if sin wasn't fun, we wouldn't do it. Like, if it was easy to just be a good Christian and just, you know, not sin, everyone would be a Christian, everyone would live life the way we're supposed to. But the thing is about sin, it's fun. While you're doing it, it's so fun. So I wasn't valuing my body, I wasn't valuing myself. I was doing things that I knew were wrong and that I knew weren't taking me down the right path, but I thought, because on the outside I look great, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, I'm still going to lectures, I'm still, you know, I'm still working hard, it was fine. So in January I had exams, after my exams I was partying, doing everything, and then February came and I got my exam results and I was like, oh, I thought I was working hard. I wasn't working hard at all. Like, I did really terribly, and I placed a lot of my worth in, one, how other people saw me, and two, in how I saw myself. And the main value I placed on myself was my grades. Like, you know, I was always working hard at school. I always did the best that I possibly could. I've got 5 siblings and I was always labelled the smart one. So if I wasn't doing well at school, then I wasn't doing well in anything at all. So when I got those grades, it was like a ton of bricks fell on me all at one point. And I was like, wait, like, I understand that I'm having fun, but then I've always worked hard and I've been a bubbly person at the same time. So I was like, what's going on? Like, I'm nothing. I'm not worth anything because clearly I can't do anything right. So from that point, I think that's when I really realised that, okay, now I'm depressed. Like, I don't know what to do. I was crying, I couldn't sleep. I told my sister, my mum, like, I'm done with uni, like, I can't do anything right, like, I don't know what to do, sort of thing. And I think even at this point, I don't even think I spoke to anyone about it yet. I was still just in that state of depression and just thinking, okay, I'm not good enough. So I thought, okay, let me try hard. Then the email came round and there was an opportunity to do a placement year. So placement year is just doing a year out of university and you work for a year. So I was like, okay, let me apply for this. You know, I haven't done so well, but maybe if I do this, that can push my grades up, that can, you know, push my value up a little bit. So as I was doing this placement year, so as I was like applying for this placement year, somewhere in between that, I realised that the way I was living my life, it wasn't the way that I wanted to be living my life. So in my head, like, I sort of gave my life to Christ, but I didn't like go up to the pulpit and, you know, say the words or whatever. Like, I've always been a Christian, but I've just, like, that's like praying to God in exam season and praying to him when things go wrong or when I'm scared and things like that. So I've always had somewhat relationship with God, and even from a young age I feel like God has always spoken to me, but I've just always been like picking and choosing when I talk back. So somewhere in that period I gave my life to Christ fully, and I was like, do you know what, yeah, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm clearly not doing the right things for you. I'm clearly not living the way that you've called me to live, so this might not be the right prayer or anything, but please just help me. Like, if you help me get through this period, then I'll just give my life to you. So I put all my hope in this placement year. I got through all the interview stages, and even with so much doubt in my mind and of myself, I got the placement. So I was so excited. I was like, okay, my life's back on track now. All I need to do is get a 2-1 at the end of this year. I can do my placement year and everything will be fine. So I now removed my value from my grades and put my value in this placement year. I said, if I can do this placement year and I get everything right, then I'm a good person and I'm great and everything like that. Again, wrong. My value doesn't belong in any of my accolades. My value, I am who I am because of who Christ made me to be, not because of anything I've done in this world, literally. So my mindset was already wrong, and like, I think now looking back, I was always trying to place my value in something else because I was always trying to fill emptiness inside of me. So a few weeks passed now, I hadn't received my contract for my job because you have to sign a contract to say, you know, you're going to go and work for them. So I spoke to my university and they were like, oh, we'd really like you to come in for a meeting. So I remember going in for the meeting, and it was 2 people I've never met from the department before. And they were sort of like shuffling and they were like, are you going to tell her? Am I going to tell her? And I was like, what's going on? And already at this point I'd been suffering from anxiety, so I didn't really want to leave my house. I was just really scared all the time, and I just wanted to do everything right, but I just felt like I couldn't. So everything was riding on this placement year. I was like, when I do this, like, everything's fine. So they finally were like to me, we're really sorry, but you're not going to be able to do your placement year. Your grades aren't good enough, and we just don't think you're going to get the right grades at the end of the year, so we're not going to, like... They basically didn't want me to be the face of the university at this company when I get the grades that they thought I was going to get. So I was like... Okay, I started crying right in front of them. I tried to like hide it till I left, but I couldn't. I started crying. I had a panic attack on my way home. I was crying so much, like I was like, God, what do you want me to do? And I believe at that point, I had suicidal thoughts. I was like, what is the point? Like, what can I possibly do? Like, I've tried everything, you know? And I think African parents really have to be careful, because one of the things that I remember my dad saying to me when I was doing my GCSEs, I remember I've always been good at maths. I studied maths at uni, and I remember coming home already being kind of disheartened that I got an A in my maths GCSE because I really wanted an A star. I remember I came home, I told my mum was like, yeah, that's great. I showed my dad, and my dad was like, but where's your A star? So this where's your A star behaviour that came from when I was 15, 16, followed me to university now, and I was like, but where's my A star? Like, where is this you know, what do I have to show for? What can I now show my parents? I can't go to my parents and say I got a first. You know, now my parents can't go and tell their friends, look at my daughter, because I've just come and have disgraced them. So all of those things were going through my mind, and I was so upset. I stayed in my house. I didn't go to lectures. I couldn't move. And at this point, I had to start revising for my exams. Every time I opened a book, I had an overwhelming, like, I don't know whether it was a spirit, but I couldn't read the books. Like, it took me 5 hours to read one page of work. I just couldn't. Like, I physically had panic attacks. I couldn't breathe. I just felt so overwhelmed and suffocated. So I finally spoke to my mum, and my parents live in Sierra Leone, so they only come up to London every so often, but my mum comes more often than my dad. So I finally spoke to my sister first, because my sister's like my main carer in London, because she's the only one that lives here. And I was like to her, I don't want to do this anymore, like I want to quit, like I'm done with university, I don't know what I want to do with my life, I can't do anything right. And at first I was met with the whole, it's going to be fine, you know, you've got God, you've got this, you've got that. And then I think the more I called and the more I cried, they realised, okay, this is not normal. This is not just being upset about your grades. This is something that's deeper. And my mum and my sister are mental health nurses. So I think, obviously, when it's in your family, you just think, you know, this is just how you are. And I'm labelled as the emotional one in my family. So I'm always crying. But like, this time it was different. So my mum actually came to London, and she was like, this is not okay. Like, you're going to have to see somebody. And my mum like gave me an ultimatum. She was like, you need to see a counsellor like now. So I just googled, and I googled my university counsellor services, and I found a counsellor. I started seeing a counsellor, and it was really helpful. Like, at first I was a bit worried, but I know because my mum's a mental health nurse that what she said would help me. So I went to the counsellor, I started speaking to the counsellor, and to be honest, I saw that more of my issues were not even to do with just the grades. It was more, like I said, it was the seed. Like, it was the things that have happened in my past. It was the things that were going on in my family at that moment. It was the things that I was placing my value in. And it was just so much. And just that ability to be able to offload to someone who doesn't know me, who has no, you know, responsibility to me, but who I felt cared, was just so, it was so beneficial to me. My anxiety didn't stop, my panic attacks didn't stop, my depression didn't stop, but I found coping mechanisms. When I would have a panic attack, I was taught to count. I was taught to count my breathing, to focus on my breathing and to count, and it did help. I remember during the summer exam period, I had a panic attack during my exam. It was an exam that was 100% exam, so there was no coursework, anything like that. So I was really, really worried, because at this point, I'd forgotten about the placement. It was just about me doing well for myself and me relying on God. Because at that point, even though I had all the help that I needed, I felt like this exam period was impossible, because I was still dealing with this anxiety, I was still dealing with this depression, and it was still near enough impossible for me to revise. But I was taking one step at a time. I was taking every day one step at a time. So during one of my exams, I had a panic attack. I couldn't breathe. I was just staring at the paper. I was trying to write, but I just couldn't write. And I remember just praying and just being like, God, only you know what you want to do with me, so just do what you want to do with me. I was able to finish the exam, and on that exam, I got a really high first. I don't know how. I really don't know how. Like, God did amazing things. So just throughout that year, towards the end of that year, I carried on with the counselling. I prayed. I couldn't go to church because I felt like, even though it probably wouldn't have been a waste of time, it was like, I can either be at church for an hour, or I can be trying to revise for an hour, which takes me more than like how many ever hours. So it was literally just me, my Bible, sermons online, and revising and exams. And I made it through that exam period. A lot of my friends didn't even know what I was going through, because like we were saying about taking off the mask, it's so easy to pretend. Like, it is so easy to pretend, especially at university. And one thing I'll say to anyone, if you're students here, I know most of you are not, but like, make sure friends are really okay, because I really wasn't okay, and the only reason my friends knew that is because I brought out a YouTube video like last year and I was talking about all of this. But everyone was like, you just look so fine. You're always smiling. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. I was like, yeah, that's what you guys saw. But deep down in my room, I wasn't coming out of my bed. I was crying. So I think just making sure everyone is around you is really okay. I'm really lucky because of the background that my mum and my sister come from. Like, they deal with mental health on a daily basis, so they were able to push me in the right direction. But it's so easy to isolate yourself. It's so easy to not want to speak to anyone about it because there's shame, there's anger, like you're angry at yourself. I was angry at myself for wasting my time. I was like, how dare you be sitting here crying when you have work to do? Like, what are you doing? And then it's just a constant cycle because you're angry at yourself for wasting time, and then you waste more time being upset, and it just doesn't stop. But luckily, like, it was only by God that I was able to get through that exam period. So the exam period came and it went, and I literally just felt this sense of peace. Like, God just gave me so much peace. And during that summer, I just spent that time getting to know God more. I got baptized. I really gave my life to Christ. And then my exam results came out. My anxiety came back for like one day to come and help me. I was so scared to open my exam results. I was like, God, it's up to you. Like, from when university are telling me there's no hope, I was like, okay, let's see what, I did. I managed to get a 2-1 overall in that year. Like, thank you. God really did the impossible. Like, university told me that it was impossible for me to get that grade. So I got 2-1, I was happy with that. I was like, God, like, all glory belongs to you. Like, I didn't do anything, it was all you. Then a few of my friends were like to me, you need to ask that placement if they'll still take you. And I was like, it's already started, and they're really not going to take me. Like, why would they take me? So I emailed them, and they didn't get back to me for ages, and I was like, okay, it's fine, like, they don't want me. Then my university emailed me, and they were like, oh, Aon, the company I worked for was called Aon. They were like, Aon have contacted us saying that you want to go back to do a placement with them. They were like, we'd happily support you. It's only now they wanted to support me. They were like, we'll happily support you, but you have a retake to do from your first semester, because my first semester wasn't very well and I failed one of my exams. But the conditions of the retake, it was just God. Like, when God does things just so he can say it's just me. Like, don't think that you had any part to play in this, it was only me. They were like to me, you can choose the date that you do your retake. It will be an oral exam, and as soon as you do it, like, if you pass, you'll sign your contract and everything's done. First of all, the exams were supposed to be taken in September, and they were like, you can pick it in August so that you can start before they want you to start. I do maths, so an oral exam doesn't make sense because I do equations and all of that. So in this season, my anxiety did come back, and that's the thing with, like, anxiety. I suffer from anxiety. I don't claim the anxiety and say that anxiety is mine, but it's not something that has gone away. It's not something that I've just magicked away, and it's something that doesn't affect me anymore. It still does affect me. I get anxious all the time, but it's just the way in which I deal with it has changed now. And the fact that I can identify it has changed. So in this period, I got anxiety again, and I was really scared. And I was just like, do you know what? I'm going into the unknown. I don't know what this exam is going to be like, but I picked a date. Fast forward to the date now. I was praying, I was fasting. I got to the exam, and this man, he just cut up past papers and gave me 3 questions. And he was like, tell me how you would answer them. And I'd done them like 100 times before, so I told him, and he was like, okay, you got 100%. And I was like, God, what are you doing? I walked out of there, and I had the job already. Like, my paperwork had gone through, CRB, everything. Like, it had gone through, like, it was mine. And I was just like, God, you really just did the impossible for me. And it was such a humbling experience. After that experience, I was just like, do you know what? My life really belongs to you. I started a YouTube channel called Queens of Kingdom, and it's just really a ministry to empower young women that are going through anything, just to understand that there's nothing too stained for Christ. There's nothing too dirty for Christ to clean up. There's nothing that you can go through that Christ won't help you through. Like, obviously, mental health it cannot just be fixed by prayer. I mean, I believe prayer has a big part to play in it, but you also need help. You also need to seek help, but you also need to know that it's okay to seek help. I think a lot of us from African backgrounds, our parents and the people around us, you know, they discourage us, especially boys. Like, it's so easy for boys to just be like, oh, like, are you a baby? Like, shut up, man. Like, but they don't understand that their friends might be trying to reach out to them. So that's something that I've really learned during this experience, and I'm just really thankful to God that He took me through this, because now I know that I can't remember who was saying that. Whatever pain we go through, it's for someone else to benefit from. Like, there's so many people that I've spoken to that have gone through the same things, that are experiencing the same things, that didn't understand that it was normal, didn't understand that it was okay to go through this until I shared my story. So I'm grateful for God giving me this burden to carry. And I'm a firm believer in God doesn't give you anything that you cannot handle. That's the reason why we all haven't been through the same thing, because we all can't handle the same load. You know, we all can't handle the same burden. So I'm grateful for the burden that God gave me. And even though at the time it was so crushing and it looked like there was no solution, I'm here now and I'm okay, and I've been through the fire and I'm out of it now. And that doesn't mean to say that it's gone away, but it just means to say that I know that God is real and I know that I can overcome. There's nothing that I cannot overcome, and there's nothing that any of us can't overcome. So yeah, that's my story. Thank you.